Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's webinar on GDPR and what that means for your company. My name is Friederike Rieder and my guest today is Samir Aliyev. Samir is director of our new program for data protection offices. Also, he is a global DPO data protection manager at Sonova Group. The following presentation will last around 20 to 25 minutes. That will give us plenty of time to discuss your questions afterwards. Please send us your questions anytime during the webinar, and you can do so by using the F&A or Q&A field in your webinar program. Also, you can upvote those questions that you find most relevant. We will record this session, so we will send you the recording next week, along with the slides, of course. Now I would like to welcome Samir. Thank you, Samir, for taking the time. It's a pleasure to have you here. Dear viewers, I wish you an insightful lunch break, and I'm looking forward to the presentation and the discussion.
Thank you very much, Friederike. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for taking part on our live webinar. Today, we will discuss data protection, which you are hearing since last year, 2018, a lot in conference, seminars, and webinars. But today, I will try to give you some practical information which you can apply in your company from today, which is very useful, and I hope you will enjoy my presentation. Please let me start the presentation now. We will see soon the presentation. Yes. So I would like to introduce our agenda. First, we will talk about privacy governance, which we will see the privacy across the organizations and privacy governance models and structure of the data privacy team. Second part, we will talk about your customers, customer-centric management, which we will talk about privacy communication, consent, and the data privacy rights for data subjects. So let's start, and we will see that there are a lot of new things coming out, and you will be happy to hear for that. First part is privacy governance, and privacy governance starts with privacy program implementation. For successful privacy program implementation, you need right management, the right strategies, and the right people. If you have all those three in one, then you will have solid foundation for development and evolving your compliance level for privacy. What does it mean, right management? Right management is really must for almost every successful programs. You have to have agile, modern, and supportive management to achieve your privacy goals. The right team means you have a people with knowledge of legal and technical to help you in your organizations to support your process, to help on the decision-making process and continuous compliance, including learning from the failures. So please do hire 100% dedicated data privacy experts in your company. There are several companies, they just appoint their current employee as a data protection experts, which they are not. For example, marketing manager or IT specialist, they can never act as a data protection expert in your company if they have another job. The right strategy means that change and developments are always the main core of your business. The monitoring is the best way to follow your implementation, because there is no endpoint in privacy. And agile applies across all your business, and it's always important for your marketing, IT, legal, and finance department to be agile. Please do update your business mindset and culture about personal data. Personal data means you work with customers, and all your departments should be aware of your policies, guidelines, and statements. You can think that data protection is just about law and compliance. No, it's not just the law and compliance. It is about the trust of your brand. If you go to your customers, you will go with your brands, and it's about to meet regulatory compliance obligations and reduce the risk of data breach, to reduce risk of your employee and customers' lawsuits, and of course, customer expectation. It's very important. Do not lose your customers' trust. Once you lose it, you will never gain any new customers. It's very important to be competitive in the market, to be friend of your customers and consumers, then you can achieve the good business goals. Sorry. Privacy across the organization is about awareness, alignment, and involvement. A successful privacy program is integrated to your all functional area in your business. It means your marketing department, information security, IT, legal departments should align all together. For example, marketing department is sending a lot of emails, marketing direct emails. Your legal department should say that in which context they can contact your consumers. IT department will help you to send these emails, and information security department will give you the secure place to activate your business. So do you think that data protection should be in all your business aspects, from A to Z, from implementation to the endpoint? There should be data privacy principles and rules. So privacy governance models, there are several models in your you can apply in your company. It depends on your organizational structure, it depends on your management board, and it depends on your senior leadership. You have to buy in your leaderships. In this case, there are 3 levels of privacy governance models. First, localized. Second, centralized. And third, hybrid. Localized means you are a big group companies and you have data protection management in different locations. Centralized means you are a small company. You have one person in the privacy office and he is doing or she's doing everything for your privacy. A hybrid is the best option, which is contained localized and centralized system together, and you can impact from the top to the bottom of your company, all the people together in the data privacy. So, data protection officer, we are hearing a lot about this, and I'm sure some of your companies, they have data protection officers. Some of them, they think maybe they will hire, and some of them they say, hey, we don't need data protection officers. But there are several points that can say you need data protection officers. If you are under scope of the GDPR, or if you are involving the large amount of data processing, or you just collect sensitive data like medical, biomedical, or bank details of your customers, then you need to appoint a data protection officers. Your data protection officers should have enough knowledge on privacy law, technology, and other stuff which will help to cooperate with different branch of your company. So there are legal expertise, risk, IT, leadership, cultural, and teaching. Your data protection officer must to communicate to your consumers, to your employee and partners, speaks to them, train them, give them awareness. Of course, there are a lot of skills. Just I want to give you some insights that which is the must. Now we will have our first survey. You will see on your screen. Please join to us and give us your answer, that we will see how many companies they appoint data protection officers till today, or they never appoint anyone, or you don't have any idea you have data protection officer or not. So we are seeing that there are good number of yes, almost 53% of your company, they appoint a data protection officer, which is good. 36% is saying no, 11% is they are not sure. That's good. That looks good, but yeah, I hope the yes answer should be 80%, 90%, because depends on the company size. Everyone should have someone, not exactly data protection officers, maybe specialist, expert, or manager in your company. So let's continue to our presentation. We are going to the second part, which is customer-centric management. Here we will talk about privacy, communication, consent, and data subjects' rights. Privacy-related communication, it means first you have to know to whom you are communicating. You will communicate to your data subjects. Who are your data subjects? They can be patients in your medical facility. They can be the employee of your company. They can be consumer in your store. All of them are your data subjects, and of course they have the rights. They have the rights to know about their data. They have the rights to ask you to give them information, what you are doing with their data. All those processes will implement and remain in your business, daily business. So do inform your customers about how you process their information, their data. That's the most important part of the data subjects' rights. So privacy notice will help you to inform your clients how you are handling their data, their information. So privacy notice or privacy policy. Privacy policy is usually internal communication tools which you will communicate to your employee and partners. Privacy notice is external communication tool to your consumers and customers. There are several purposes for your privacy notice. Why you have to write privacy notice? Because you need to comply with law, regulations, and standards. You need to process your personal data fairly and transparently, and you have to inform it about how you process your personal data. And of course, you will meet your customers' expectation and build trust. Trust, trust, trust. So do focus on your customers. Customers are data. Data is more valuable than gold and oil today. Take care of your customers. It means your business will give you more profit and more trust in front of the public. So your privacy notice will typically explain to your consumer that who are you, what are you collecting, on which purpose you will use your customer's data, how long you will keep it in your system, and the process to opt in, to opt out, and several consent management if you are collecting sensitive data, of course, explicit management. So we are going to the second survey at the moment. You have time to answer the questions. There are yes, no, or I'm not sure questions that you will see in the screen. Please be active. Let us know that you have privacy implementation program in your organization, that you can see that where is your data, how you will handle it, and who has an access to this data, and how long you will keep this data in your system. So almost the same like first question. 57% of the people or participants, they say that they have privacy implementation program. This is very good, but still I believe that another 50% needs to have support, which they say no or I'm not sure. Good, that's also good results, which is 57%. Let's go to continue to our presentation again. Privacy notice design challenges. You can see that there are a lot of templates in the internet. You can download it and you can use it, but it's not profitable for your business. It's huge amount of work to design your privacy notice because your business operation is diverse from one place to another place, one regulation to another jurisdiction. So your privacy notice should be very live dynamic document. You have to review it, always monitor, release it and share with your consumers. There are challenges, but we can give you some solutions for your challenges. First, layered approach. You have to say a lot. For example, some companies, they have privacy notes 45 pages, but no one will read it. That's true. Everyone knows. First, you have to show them short information. If they are interested in, they can access to another part of the information. If they want to read all the information about privacy, give them option to access and read your privacy policy and notice. Just-in-time notice. I will give you an example. You have a store or medical facility, you collect sensitive data. Before taking action or medical test, you need to collect information from your consumer, and later you will collect sensitive data. Please give them one page, at least one page privacy notice. Let them know what you are doing with their data and collect their consent based on your privacy notice. Because in the future, if the regulators visit your office, you have to show them which kind of privacy notice did you show them. So icons, symbols. Today, everyone is using mobile devices, computers and tablets. It's easy to produce icons, symbols, or simple videos to give nice message to your consumers. And privacy dashboard, this is also a very sophisticated program. I hope all the companies sooner or later will use privacy dashboards in their web pages and applications. And please do write your privacy notes as much as possible in plain language and easy to understand. You can imagine that you can have a consumer like teenager or elderly people over 60, 70, 80 years old. Please address to them, identify them, and write your privacy notes very simple. Don't give them very heavy legal text. No one will read it, and it will not be transparent. Now we talk about consent. Consent is one of the biggest challenging as well under the GDPR and privacy law. For consent management, I believe that there's a way to develop, but first be transparent with your consumers. Tell them what you are collecting, which kind of information you collect, and then let them give you affirmative, freely given consent. So it can be swiping a bar on your screen, or it can be waving in front of a smart camera, or just signature. Collect your consent, document it. It will need in the future, if there's a claim from the consumers, you have to show it. You have to prove it that you collect consent from your consumer. And in the same time, you have to give them opt-out option, like consent. Let's imagine that you are an e-commerce company and you have several purposes. First, you get data from your consumers for small survey, but you are not allowed to use the data later for another purpose. One purpose, one consent. Or you have similar purposes, group of purposes, you can get one consent. But please identify your purposes and identify your consent management. Otherwise, it will be a big challenge in future for you to document all the process. All this process, when you apply your privacy program and data protection implementation, please don't forget your return of investment. You have to see data protection investment, not just money you give out. It's investment, and it will come back to you in the near future. It will put you in front of your competitors, in front of your consumers. We talked short about consent, and what about opt-out option? You agreed with your consumers. Now your consumer, they don't want to receive any email from your site. So as soon as someone wants to opt out from your service, you should put them in a don't contact me list. Once you put them, then you have to be sure that you will never touch this data. And even though don't contact your consumers at a later date, you want to ask them, do you want to come in back, or Do you want to give your consent again? Because once they opt out, that's all. And there shouldn't be any punishment, any fee for opt-out. Last point, data subjects access rights. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, and that's why my voice can be a little bit weird. Data subjects access rights. It's the process, policy, and technology. First, you have to write your policies, which kind of rights you will give them, and you have to give them policies. You have to have policies to implement, to carry out your policy, and for that you need technology, you need software, you need platform where you will able to transfer data, where you will able to delete data or object rectification or other rights of the data subjects. So do provide all personal data rights free to your customers. You can't say that, hey, we are giving those rights, but those rights we don't have platform to supply it. It's not compliance with law, simply. So objecting to processing, personal data processing, like withdrawing consent, the consent must be at least easy. It must be easy as you get a consent from your consumers, and you should keep them records. Once you are withdrawing, you have to record them. You have to put them red flag, or it depends on your IT landscape how you will record it, but please record them. And you shouldn't give them fee or penalty to your data subject because of withdrawing their data consent. And you can say them that, hey, you opt out and you are not allowed to use my web page. This is not also the way to treat your consumers. If you want to respond to withdrawing the consent, you have to write in your privacy notice the procedure, what they have to do, your consumers. They have, in which channel they have to contact you, and how you will process all those withdrawing consent process. Don't ignore requests from your consumers. If you ignore them, they will go to the regulators. And the regulators, one day they will come to your office. Once they are in your office, they will not check only your company, they will check all your group companies and sister companies. Please do not ignore your consumers. Right to be forgotten, everyone knows about it. It's coming from the Spain Google case, and it's one of the popular right at the moment in Europe. And that means you have to stop processing and you have to delete the data. But how? This is the big question, because there are a lot of process till you delete this data. In this event, your privacy and legal office should work closely with your IT security office that they can deliver this right to the data subjects. Be sure that if you share this data with third parties, service providers to your company, you will inform them, you will ask them to delete data subjects information. There are challenges which are, you have to be ensure your third party complies, which you have to check your data processing agreement. Then some data may be need to keep for another purpose, like medical data, financial data, or legal data, and data stored in multiple places, in cloud solution, in physical store. Be sure that you know their places and you have to delete them, anonymize them. Don't be afraid to delete data. Once your customer doesn't want to receive any information from your site, please stop to communicate them. It will not be beneficial for you. Once they want to get out, let them get out and delete their data or anonymize their data. The best way, just generate new leads, potential free and fresh leads you will get, and it will be very beneficial for your business. Now we will go to the last survey. Last question we'll see on your screen, and the same question you will see The same answer you will see yes, no, I'm not sure. This is about data subjects' rights. You have right policy, procedure, and technology to answer your data subjects request. So we see that it's almost the same. 57% of the participants, they say yes. There are no answers, and I'm not sure answers as well. It looks good. It looks good, better than less than 50%. But there should be improvement, of course. Thank you very much for your answers. Let's finish our presentation, and we will go to the questions part. The last data subjects rights we will discuss today is data portability, which you will transfer your customers' data to your competitors. Data portability depends on only two circumstances. First, processing is based on consent and contract. Otherwise, you cannot transfer this data to the third parties. So you have personal data in your company, then you have to transfer this data to the data subjects in the same time to another controller. This company could be your competitor, and third party to their vendors. GDPR says that this data portability should be in structured, commonly used, and machine-readable format, which is very challenging. I mean, you can imagine that every company, they have another IT system, landscape, and platform, and it's not easy just to use common system. If you send this data to third party, they will able to use this data. Please don't give up. Don't give up because there is no endpoint in privacy. New e-privacy regulation will come in force soon, and maybe there will be another regulations and standards we will see in near future from European Union. Please never give up and stay calm with your data privacy experts and people. It will be good. And let's start for questions and answers.
Thank you, Samir. And I will just stop this presentation. All right.
Yes.
Many questions have come in already. I see it's a burning topic. I'll just take it from the top for now. What do you recommend to small companies who cannot afford a person like you, a DPO officer?
They can go external consultant. They can hire someone. For example, once a week or twice a week, they can visit your company. They can monitor your system, your regulations, and policies. Yeah, external is advisable. That's
helpful to know. So yeah. I'm sure there's a whole business now arising. There's the same question again. So what's the scope of application of GDPR? What criteria to use to evaluate the GDPR related risks? Asks Mr. Segesser.
There are the scope of GDPR, I can say it's worldwide regulations. Once you interact with European Union data subjects, you are under scope of GDPR, and it might be high risk for non-European organizations. It might be monetary fine, or it might be criminal case against your directors, managers, and of course, trust. You can lose your trust in front of your consumers, and no one will trust you. It means no business for you.
Thank you. Mr. Brenny is asking, tell me about the use of WhatsApp.
As I know, WhatsApp is encrypted, but it depends on law enforcement of each country. It's not under scope of GDPR. I mean, it's personal use, it's not commercial, but each jurisdiction, there is another different implementation for WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm. But there's no WhatsApp for business. I assume you'd have to collect consent.
No, WhatsApp is personal use.
Okay, good. Thank you. Is there a definition of sensitive data, especially within the medical field? Anonymously collecting, meaning not possible to link to individual persons, patients, is not enough?
All the medical data under the GDPR is sensitive data. If you collect biometric or health data, it means it's sensitive data. You have to get, GDPR prohibits to process, but there are several legal bases you can use. But if you anonymize the data or encrypt the data, you can still use for several purposes. Once you can identify the person behind this data, it means you are prohibited to use it to process this data.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Article 5 of the GDPR defines data protection principles. GDPR Article 5D discusses data accuracy without giving a clear definition. What does data accuracy mean?
Data accuracy means you have database, let's say 500,000 data. Some data, they are not accurate, they are not correct. Maybe they change their address. Maybe you have email, but you don't have a home address. You have telephone number, you don't have email address. This is not accuracy. You have to keep them accurate. You have to keep them in a normal updated version.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what about buying data like addresses or leads from third parties under the GDPR? Is that still allowed to buy or sell personal data to companies without explicit consent?
There are several companies, they are doing this business. For example, they collect the consent from data subjects. They say, hey, give me your consent. I will sell your data to third parties. Each time you will get money. You can allow to buy kind of data, but you are not allowed to just buy plenty of data from illegal companies, I can say so.
Mm-hmm. So imagine the price of these data will really increase a lot.
Yes, of course. It's more valuable than gold and oil.
Mm-hmm. Is there any difference in data privacy practices between B2C and B2B under the GDPR? I'm sure that's relevant to many companies.
GDPR is, the scope of GDPR is only for personal data. Individuals should be part of this process. B2B, it means business. If you use business data like, let's say, Samir Aliyev at UNI-SG Gallen, it means Samir Aliyev works under University of St. Gallen. This is already personal data. You can identify the person behind this data. Still, you have to be compliant with GDPR.
Thank you. So, is there an official certification available from the EU to confirm that a company or web-based service is actually GDPR compliant?
The certification is mentioned in GDPR itself, but there is no clear view or guidelines still for certification. We are not aware of it till today, but soon we will get clear guidance from Data Protection Board and from European Union.
Thank you. And can the CFO be the DPO? And we can broaden that. Where in the organization should the DPO be placed?
CFO, it's a little bit tricky question. CFO cannot be DPO from my perspective because CFO could write the purpose of processing. If someone decides on the purposes, he cannot or she cannot be DPO. DPO should be independent and legal person.
Could you go into the details of the exemptions of the GDPR for SMEs? Are there any?
Yeah, there are exemptions, a lot of exemptions. If you don't process large scale of personal data, if you don't, you shouldn't comply with GDPR. I mean, if you have 500 or 200 personal data, just small company, you shouldn't comply or you shouldn't apply all the principles in your companies. Or if you don't have any data of data subjects from European Union, you shouldn't comply with GDPR.
So it's not so much about the size of the company, but about the amount of data you have.
Yes.
Okay.
You could have a 6% company, but you could have 1 million personal data.
Mm-hmm. Is there a threshold?
No.
Okay. So it's still very unclear. Will something like a privacy dashboard not sooner or later lead to all e-commerce shops building a login wall? Is that in the sense of data protection?
Dashboards, it's vital for e-commerce companies. Before gaining the consent, before collecting data, please be aware of that. You have to give all information to your consumers. That's why use dashboards in your web page or applications during the collection time.
Thank you. May we send emails to any address, Switzerland or Europe, we find on the internet? Or is that only permitted if it is done in the form of a newsletter offering an opt-out option? Or do we have to be contacted beforehand by the person concerned in any matter?
If the personal data officially published in public place like internet, if it's reachable in the internet and published by the data owner, you can use it.
And what's the status of the new GDPR regulation in Switzerland? I know many of our users are based in Switzerland. How does that play out?
Many of the Swiss companies, they have operation in EU, or they have customers from European Union. That's why they have to comply with GDPR rules and principles. So you might think that if you not, then you will get sanctions. You can get case and you can get financial fine.
Okay, but if I don't have any customers,
if you don't have any customers from EU, and it doesn't sounds good for you to be compliant with GDPR.
Okay. To perform a contractual obligation, for example, a medical consultation, a credit application or work contract, why is it necessary to ask for consent? Even an opt-out is not possible under such binding conditions. I cannot see such an obligation, and for my understanding, data handling for contractual obligation became much easier. How do you see that?
If you have contract between your company and consumers, you don't need to gain any consent, because there are several, almost 6 legal bases for processing personal data. One of them is contract. Once you have contract, you shouldn't get consent. This is the best way.
Can customers actually sell their data to a company and thus give up on their GDPR rights?
No.
That was an easy answer. Where is the line between monitoring users' behavior and using cookies or website data for user experiment improvement?
The cookies, there are technical cookies and there are advertising purpose cookies. You have to get consent for advertising purposes cookies, but technical cookies, it should be there. I mean, users should accept it. Otherwise, web page will not work properly.
Here's a very specific question. How should we handle phone contacts with the clients? Can we record them? We are a remittance company and are obliged to comply with AML CTF regulations. I'm not sure what that is. Do you know?
I am also not sure, but if you record the calls, then at the beginning of the call, you have to inform your data subject about their rights and your processing. Okay,
so it's also always about consent. If I want that a company should delete my data, does that include all data, including invoices?
No, it's financial data.
Okay, so that would be a contract, the invoices. Okay. All this sounds strict, fair, and okay, but how can I prevent that Facebook, WhatsApp, etc. misuses my data?
Yeah, it's personal usage, and you have to read the privacy notes of Facebook, all this social media. I can't say any deep information about it. There are a lot of information on the internet. Please Google it.
How does GDPR apply to physical stores where security cameras are collecting video footage? Is there any difference in case that data is further processed to produce insights?
Yeah, you can have CCTV cameras, but you have to have purpose for that, and you shouldn't collect large amount of data. you have to have a proper place, you have to have proper location and retention period.
Do we need to obtain additional consent from employees for serving them personalized internal communication, or is there normally a general agreement when getting hired?
No, there's a general agreement and it's under employment law.
Thank you. Use that. We have a few more minutes.
Okay.
And many questions actually. So we won't be able to go through all these questions, but please upvote those that you find most relevant, and it's easier for me to find those that we should discuss. Data under GDPR must be machine readable. How about handwritten notes? Like someone maybe signs a postcard or fills in a sweepstake.
It applies for machine readable and filed data. Both of them are under scope of the GDPR.
Good. So what else is there? If I use the aggregated data collected from customers to generate knowledge or insights, who, the customer or me, will be the owner of the knowledge or the insights?
Customers are always the owner of the data. You could be only controller, and you are obliged several legal obligations under the GDPR in front of your customers.
Okay. Here's a specific case study. Our company is based out of Germany, yet we have a UK market launched out of the US for our UK and US markets. Should we be also applying these rules for these markets? Privacy notice, etc.
There are several privacy regulations in the US and Data Protection Act in the UK. It will be good for your company. Just inform about your processing. And GDPR, for me, it's like modern standards for data protections. And doesn't matter you are in EU or in US, if you just follow the minimum requirements of GDPR, it will be a benefit for your business.
Thank you. So what happens when a company with several entities around the world has its headquarters in Switzerland, is collecting personal data from European citizens? Does that headquarters in Switzerland need to appoint a DPO in Switzerland to deal with European citizens?
Yes, exactly. You have to have a group DPO in Switzerland, and you have to appoint data protection coordinators and champions in different group companies and member states. Thank
you. So I think we can do two last questions. Where are they? Sorry, they're just jumping around here, the questions. Do you have any tips regarding developing an internal data protection process?
In Switzerland?
Doesn't say.
Internal data protection process depends, as I told you. First, you have to write your policies. Then you have to have proper process to carry out your process. And of course, your technology should support your policy and process.
So there's one question, a little bit of advertising is allowed. You have the new Data Protection Officer program. It's a CIS program. Someone's asking if pieces are offered as electives or as, can we attend just single modules?
If you are studying or taking class in a executive school, of course, you can take some part of the class. But we would suggest that to attend all the classes, because we will host the top privacy professionals from Europe, from the different industries. But still, you can attend to different modules if you are alumni or just participants of another course.
Okay, thank you very much,
You're
Samir.
welcome.
I think we've reached our time limit. Thank you for all those questions, and there are many more we couldn't go through, but we will look at these in the follow-up.
Yeah.
Also, as I said before, we'll send you, of course, the link to the recording and the slides. Give us a few days, so it will be next week. I would like to announce our next webinar. It's going to be on March 28th with Professor Johannes Bienswanger and Mark Schöning from Microsoft, and they will discuss what artificial intelligence can do for your company and how you can actually use the data you have within your company. But we will send the invitation with the follow-up email. So I'd be happy to see many of you or many of the names there again. And thank you again, Samir.
Thank you very much,
it was a pleasure.
Frederica, and thank you very much, everyone. You had time to listen us, and I will be happy to answer some of your questions after this webinar. And please, if you have any specific questions, you can always reach out to me through the University of St. Gallen webpage. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.